of Daniel Bryan's lack of heart, his selfishness. He is exactly what I said he is. He is not championship material.
Why, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 12 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. I am your host, Anthony Walker. As always, each and every Monday, each and every week, you get this Wrestling Matters podcast. And as you can probably hear from the end of the audio there that I played before this introduction right now, Triple H saying that he is not championship material. Daniel Bryan being championship material. Now, quite frankly, this is a pipe bomb. I'll be doing another pipe bomb later on in the show, believe you me. So stay tuned for that, so I'll play the intro for that. But I just want to throw this little quick pipe bomb out right now. Is anybody here listening to this podcast right now sick and tired of hearing Triple H burying Daniel Bryan? Because that's what it is. Hashtag Triple H buries wrestlers. That's what that is. Because I don't care if this is a storyline, Triple H trying to be a heel, blah blah blah. Seriously, if I hear one more time that Daniel Bryan is a B+ player, or he is not championship material, or he is not this, he is not that, he is not this, seriously, I am gonna throw up. Anybody who watches Daniel Bryan in the ring knows he is quality. He is talented. He is good. Anyone who's watched Daniel Bryan in the indie circuit, no matter where he's been, and back when he was carrying a company called Ring of Honor, knows that he was good. Everybody knows, any real wrestling fan knows, Daniel Bryan, real name Bryan Danielson, is probably the best wrestler on the planet today. And if he's not the best wrestler on the planet, he is damn sure up there in the damn top 10. So quite frankly, when Triple H tells Michael Cole in this interview that he is not championship material, I am seriously gonna throw up. Because Triple H saying that he's not championship material is like someone turning around and going, oh, Triple H is not worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. He doesn't deserve it. He has slept his way to the top. Granted, part of that probably might be true, but let's face it, Triple H does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame someday, and he will get that someday. Not because he slept with the boss's daughter, not because he's slept his way to the top as many people chose to believe. No, he has earned it, and he has earned it in the ring, no doubt. He has been a very talented wrestler. He has had some awesome matches in the day. People have always said, Jim Cornette being one, that he has only been drawn with people who draw money, or booked with people who draw money. I would say that would be true to a point, not 100%, but I'd say that would be true to a point. Because let's face it, Rock, Stone Cold, Hogan. All right, Hogan didn't draw money when he faced him at Backlash in 2001, 2002 time, but he wasn't the draw that he used to be. But he still was part. He was a wrestler that used to draw money. But sooner or later, whether this is a heel, like I say, I don't care if this is a heel persona, I don't care if this is, Triple H trying to play a heel, if this is WWE. At the end of the day now, this is getting really fucking retarded. Daniel Bryan Danielson is probably one of the best wrestlers on the planet, if not the best wrestler on the planet. He is championship material. Yes, he looks like a goat now compared to what he used to be, but the fact is, it's not about the look, Triple H. This is not the early 90s, when back in the day, when WWE, back in the old WWF, where Vince McMahon all cared for, you had to be a bodybuilder, you had to be in the WBF, you had to be a bodybuilder type of guy, a muscled up type of guy to get over in the wrestling business. Now that's all changed. And like I say, the sooner you realize Triple H and Stephanie, Authority, and WWE, the sooner as well you start booking Daniel Bryan right. Because let's face it, it's WWE's fault that Daniel Bryan's injured. It's WWE's fault that Daniel Bryan's injured. Because they booked Kane to tombstone him on the canvas. They booked him with Stephanie to run this little tirade, just because Triple H couldn't get the job done at WrestleMania. Oh yeah, they get Stephanie to get involved and have him, have him portray Daniel Bryan as being a coward, someone who's scared of Kane and blah 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 blah. Yes, he's the underdog, no doubt about that. Yeah, I'm sure he likes being the underdog. But I'm just glad that you guys have finally got what you wanted, and that's Daniel Bryan not being the World Heavyweight Champion. And I swear to God right now, as much as I love Randy Orton, if Randy Orton becomes World Heavyweight Champion at Money in the Bank, you're never going to hear the end of it. Because the fact that we've took all this time to get to this point, and then you make the Money in the Bank ladder match for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then you put the belts back on Orton, just makes this whole thing a waste of fucking time. However, this Triple H as well, I will applaud you for making another ladder match at Money in the Bank for a contract. That's right, for the rightful Money in the Bank contract. So now we can go back to calling Money in the Bank pay-per-view Money in the Bank. Because at first we couldn't, because there was no contract on the line. Now we have got a contract. We've got the contract match. We've got a ladder match for the contract. So someone will be carrying the briefcase around. Someone will have the opportunity to cash it in, to to cash the Money in the Bank briefcase in and hopefully go for the World Heavyweight Championship, no matter who the World Heavyweight Champion will be. So finally we'll have the mystique and we'll have the excitement of wondering each and every week until it happens, the Money in the Bank winner and the guy who carries around the briefcase will end up cashing in the contract, okay? Am I going to fault you for putting Seth Rollins in the match? Well, no, he's a heel. He's a part of the authority and he's working for you, but quite frankly, all that bullshit aside, Rollins is a talented wrestler and he probably deserves to be a world champion, no doubt about it, okay? And quite frankly, I wouldn't be complaining if he did win the Money in the Bank ladder match for that contract, you know? You won't find me complaining. As far as the World Heavyweight Championship goes, I would probably prefer anybody other than Orton. Like I say, if Orton wins the Money in the Bank ladder match, this whole thing leading up to this point, from the time when Orton became champion, leading up to this point, when Daniel Bryan won the world title at WrestleMania, it's been a waste of fucking time, quite frankly. I know for one thing, guaranteed, Alberto Del Rio ain't gonna win it, because apparently, like I've said many times on this podcast, unless something's changed that we don't know about, he's gonna be leaving the minute his contract expires, so he's out the question. Wouldn't surprised if Super Cena won, John Cena won, to be honest. But if there's any justice in this world, oh, you want to talk about Triple H, you want to talk about best for business, I know it's probably not going to happen, but if you want to talk about best for business, then you put the World Heavyweight Championship belt on someone who deserves it, someone who got screwed out of the Royal Rumble match in January, and yeah, I'm talking about Roman Reigns. But, like I say, apparently that will not happen because I'm hearing talks now, and it's probably started last week on Raw with the whole Stephanie throwing up thing, which I'll get to later as well, that Roman Reigns will be facing Triple H one-on-one at SummerSlam, hoping to be for the World Heavyweight Championship, but I doubt that'll happen, okay? But like I say, you never know with WWE. I just hope, if you know what's best for business, you will put the World Championship on Roman Reigns, because quite frankly, it should have been him going to WrestleMania, not Batista. Pipe bomb ends, 3, 2, 1. Now, we move on to the Raw main points. We start Raw's main talking points with the Authority addressing the WWE roster. For the first time since 2013, the WWE Universe is without a World Heavyweight Champion, and with Daniel Bryan's vacated WWE World Heavyweight title on the line in Money in the Bank, the Authority took time on Raw to address their subjects about the future of the Supreme Prize. The upshot of their address, minus a few zingers thrown in the recovery B+ player Bryan's direction, I am so sick of hearing that right now, like I said earlier on, the final spot in the World Heavyweight Championship ladder match would be determined later on in Raw. The first in a battle royal that would encompass the entire roster, minus the superstars that had yet to transition, the rebellious John Cena and the remaining members of the Shield, and the second in a stretcher match, the bout Bryan would have had at Money in the Bank between Cena and the Demon Kane. More on them later on. Match-wise, matches kicked off on Raw with Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler wouldn't be much of a show-off if he didn't poke the corporate bear, and even though his first two swings against Triple H's newest protege, Seth Rollins, ended in lights out. The former World Heavyweight Champion brought all he had and then some in the third installment of the 2-week rivalry. Ziggler seemed to finally have found his stride against the former Shield member, escaping peace of mind and reversing Rollins' corner powerbomb into a sunset flip. Rollins eventually found his stride, slowing the show off to a crawl and connecting with peace of mind. But when all was said and done, Dean Ambrose rushed to the ring in a leather jacket and jeans to put the boots to his former brother in the Shield, handing Dolph Ziggler a DQ loss, but serving notice to Rollins that he's very much still a marked man, for Ambrose at least. His meddling put him in the crosshairs of the game, who summoned Bad News Barrett once again to handle a meddlesome Shield veteran. And speaking of that match, can it be that Triple H enjoys dispensing bad news just as much as Bad News Barrett? The game unleashed the Intercontinental Champion on the second Shield soldier in 2 weeks, though much like Barrett's SmackDown Rumble against Roman Reigns, it was marred by a late game interference that cost the champ the match on a technicality. All things considered, the interference may have been the gift of mercy for two superstars who didn't wrestle so much as beat the snot out of each other for 20 minutes. Ambrose pounced on Barrett like a rabid bandicoot, and the title holder replied by targeting Ambrose's less than healthy shoulder. The reappearance of Seth Rollins drove Ambrose to abandon the bout and chase his former Shield mate into the crowd to the tune of a count-out loss. A post-match dirty deeds to the victorious Ambrose, however, assured the Wild Man went out on a high note. Even as Bray Wyatt marches toward Money in the Bank and the ultimate power and influence that will place the whole world in his hands, the quest found him at the business end of the very ladder that might bring him glory in 2 weeks' time, courtesy of Sheamus, which isn't to say Wyatt didn't prove himself worthy of a potential reign as World Heavyweight Champion before things went pear-shaped. The man of 1,000 truths turned Sheamus white flesh and gruesome shade of black and blue, with headbutts, elbows, even though the Dublin Brawler responded appropriately, and the Usos joined the fray as backup for the Irishman to counter, I'm guessing would be Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Riot impressively went shot for shot with the reigning US champion. By the time Sheamus did find his footing, the Wyatts had seen enough and pounced on the Celtic Warrior right as he's setting up for the Brogue Kick. The interference cut the match off with a DQ and instigated a massive brawl between Sheamus, Usos and the three Wyatts at ringside. At the end, it was Sheamus, the Irishman and the Samoans with smiles, and the Wyatts stewing for revenge. Who says Roman Reigns hasn't involved? The Big Hound saved his Superman punch for some behind-the-scenes maneuvering to figure a way to get into this World Heavyweight Championship qualifying Battle Royal, and took it to the bank in the process, conquering the rest of the locker room with his Superman punch to ticket his way and earn a spot to challenge for the prize that is the Money in the Bank World Heavyweight Championship. Reigns, no stranger to going the distance in battle royals, withstood attacks from the likes of Ryback, Bad News Barrett. Reigns, no stranger to going the distance in battle royals, withstood attacks from the likes of Ryback, Bad News Barrett, and even Bo Dallas, aka Mr. NXT if you saw NXT. Oh brother. To make it into the final two. That his last opponent was Rusev. Surely gave some of the WWE Universe jitters. He is going to fight that. But Reigns didn't sweat his clash with the super athlete for a second, even though Rusev pancaked Reigns into the corner with a pair of splashes and the Superman punch to the apron. Standard Brutes sent the Russian crashing to the ground and propelled Reigns as the winner and a qualifier for the Money in the Bank. The only question left is what happens to Vicky Guerrero, who defied authority and let Reigns into contest in the first place. McMahon's, after all, always pay their debts. Somewhat. John Cena always has been a vocal supporter of Daniel Bryan, and despite the authorities needing John Cena has always been a vocal supporter of Daniel Bryan, and despite the authorities needling the 14-time World Heavyweight Champion put his money where his mouth is on Raw, Cena went to win one for the beard, and despite interference after interference, did just that, besting the Devil's favourite demon in the very bout the Yes Man was set to compete in a Money in the Bank before being stripped of the World Heavyweight Championship. The first stretch of match on Raw in nearly 10 years was as it guessed it, brutal, with Kane and Cena ditching fists and maneuvers for chairs to torsos, and at one point an attitude adjustment to Kane through the announce table. Seth Rollins and Randy Orton arrived to save the Demon's hide just as Cena was set to roll him across the finishing line. Though Dean Ambrose acted as an equalizer and allowed Cena to finish the job, AAing Kane atop the stretcher and giving him one final push. Next up for Cena, Money in the Bank, the ladder match. And that's it for the Raw main points. No, actually, it isn't it for the Raw main points. I want to talk about something else before I go to TNA's main points. Goldust found a new partner this week. His name was Stardust. It seems Cody Rhodes has joined his brother in dressing up with face paint and probably the same outfit that his brother wears. Now, people are going to ask me, what do I think of that? I'm all for it, to be honest with you. If it means proving to people and cutting this storyline or this angle that was going on that was making Cody Rhodes a weak link. Because let's face it, Cody Rhodes is not by any means a weak link. Okay, that is preposterous. So if it means Cody Rhodes doing a Jeff Hardy in TNA, Jeff Hardy going from Jeff Hardy to Willow, Cody Rhodes going from Cody Rhodes to Stardust, just to get what he wants and get what he has to do, and get back on a winning streak, then I'm all for it. But if you ask me, Cody Rhodes should be competing for a world championship, not dressing up as Stardust. Just my view. But hey, it worked. Anyway, on to TNA's main talking points. Impact Wrestling kicked off with the aftermath of TNA's Slammiversary pay-per-view. MVP kicks off the show. Mike Tenay mentions MVP is not medically cleared for competition after suffering a torn meniscus which kept him out of Slammiversary's main event. MVP is interrupted immediately by a "You Can't Wrestle" chant from a crowd, and lively Pennsylvania crowd, I might add. MVP exclaims tonight will be run his way in defiance of the board of directors, and he calls out the champion Eric Young. MVP and Eric Young exchange threats. Kenny King eventually grabs the mic and challenges the champion to a match. Eric Young calls Earl Hebner to the ring. That what kicked off the match. Eric Young versus Kenny King for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Eric Young, with an extremely vocal crowd behind him, takes the early advantage until he is thrown from the ring. Bobby Lashley and MVP approach, but are countered by Austin Aries, Samoa Joe, and the Wolves. Kenny King uses the distraction to fly over the top rope onto the champion. He rolls Eric Young into the ring and continues the assault. EY changes the momentum until he's drop kicked into the turnbuckle by Kenny King. Eric Young kicks out of a pinning suplex combination, then counters Kenny King's coronation with a small package for the win. Winner and still World Heavyweight Champion, Eric Young. TNA then go to a break, or Impact goes to a break, but as they come back, MVP is still in the ring. He attacks the bell ringer. Eric Young rushes back into the arena with the Wolves, Austin Aries, and Samoa Joe. A giant brawl ensues. MVP grabs the mic and screams, "I run this company. I am the director of wrestling operations. I'm like a god." MVP says he'll abuse his power as he's been accused of doing, and books the champion Eric Young in a second World Heavyweight Championship match against Bobby Lashley. MVP says everyone is banned from the arena except himself and Kenny King and the referee. MVP then books the Wolves to defend the tag team championships against Samoa Joe and Austin Aries and a mystery tag team. MVP calls out senior official Earl Hebner and tells him he had a simple task to count 1, 2, 3 against Eric Young, and he failed, and then fires Earl. Brian Hebner rushes to the ring in defense of his father. MVP threatens to fire him if he doesn't back down. MVP once again abusing the power, and we all know this Jim Jones lookalike, the Jim Jones of professional wrestling, is going to get what he deserves. Yeah, I said it, MVP, Jim Jones. If you don't know who Jim Jones is, look up the rapper. Let's just face it, MVP, you and him have one thing in common. You both like it when you ballin'. Cheap joke, I know, but I'm going with it. And that led to the main event, the World Championship match again with Eric Young and Bobby Lashley. Accompanied by Kenny King and MVP, the challenger Bobby Lashley makes his way to the ring for the World Heavyweight Championship match. Eric Young takes an early advantage, managing to get Lashley to the outside of the ring. EY launches himself from the turnbuckle and connects with a flying crossbody. Eric Young attempts another flying crossbody in the ring, but is captured by Lashley, who begins to control the match as Impact goes to a commercial break. When Impact returns, Mike Tenay details Bobby Lashley's dominant physicality during the break. Lashley hoists Eric Young into the air for a hanging suplex. EY shifts momentum as the crowd screams his name. He heads to the top rope and connects with a flying crossbody. Lashley powers out of a 2 count and begins to dominate. EY reverses an attack and executes a power driver on Bobby Lashley before Brian Hebner's hand can count to 3. Kenny King pulls him out from the ring. Eric Young slips out of the double team attack that sees Lashley knock King from the apron. Lashley is met with a spiked DDT. Eric Young climbs to the top rope one more time, hoping to score an elbow drop. Lashley rolls out of the way and breaks Eric Young in half with a spear before making the cover and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Just a few other things as well. Those were the three main talking points in this, because the main talking point right now, in my opinion, is the MVP saga, if you can call it that. Also, what went on Impact as well, Kurt Angle had something to say to MVP backstage. Tyreen Terrell returns to TNA. This Twitter war between Dixie Carter and Tommy Dreamer for apparently Dixie Carter pulling Bully Ray from Tommy Dreamer's show that he was supposed to have. Apparently he booked Bully Ray onto a show, on one of his shows, but Dixie wouldn't allow it, so they had a Twitter war about it and everything, but that escalated in a TNA ring. Yes, Rockstar Sport Dixie's lapdog was with him. Tyreen Terrell was back, like I said. As well, the Wolves defending the TNA World Tag Team Championships, not once, not twice, but 3 times, but are still World Tag Team Champions. TNA, the Wolves are the best tag team in the company, and but the booking in TNA at the moment right now has gone back downhill a little bit, which is pathetic. However, Tyreen Terrell is back from having a baby, apparently. Apparently she was having a kid, that's why she was off. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't she Drew McIntyre's ex? I'm just throwing that out there. But anyway, she's back. And also, somebody else made a return who apparently is looking for Bobby Lashley and has his sights set on Bobby Lashley and the World Heavyweight Championship. So, MVP, Kenny King and Bobby Lashley don't have Samoa Joe, the Wolves, and Austin Aries to worry about, as well as Eric Young. They also got Bobby Roode as well. That's right, Bobby Roode returns after his suspension and saves Eric Young from a potential beatdown from the 3, MVP, Kenny King and Bobby Lashley. What's going to happen next? I don't know. We'll have to tune into this coming week on Impact. Let's hope things improve a little bit. Now on to the SmackDown main points. SmackDown points. Poised and ready to compete in the World Heavyweight Championship ladder match at WWE's Money in the Bank, John Cena kicked off SmackDown recapping how the match came about and asserting that he would reign supreme and become the 15-time World Heavyweight Champion. Save Bray Wyatt, the C Nation's leader, advisors, and Paul Heyman each emerged to dispute his claim and explain why they would be victorious in the pay-per-view showdown. The violent situation reached a boiling point when Roman Reigns leaped out of the ring and brawled with Randy Orton. Moments later, Cena and the United States Champion engaged Cesaro and Alberto Del Rio, sending them both the Mexican Aristocrat and the King of Swing packing. The intensity generated by this turmoil would only add to the electricity surrounding the 4-on-3 handicap match SmackDown schedule main event. Suiting up in impressive new ring gear, Seth Rollins followed up his active week on Raw and WWE main event with a fierce SmackDown showdown against Kofi Kingston, ultimately besting the Wildcat with the curb stomp. After the match, just as Rollins was guaranteeing that he would win the Money in the Bank contract ladder match, a contest in which thus far he is the only superstar named as a competitor, Dean Ambrose interrupted and promised to send both his former business associate and Kane back to hell. With Seth Rollins joining the SmackDown announce team, explaining that the only reason he got involved in the stretcher match on Monday Raw was that it was best for business, Dean Ambrose went to war against the Devil's favorite demon, Kane. But just when it looked like the lunatic fringe had his demonic opponent on the ropes outside the ring, he once again lost control and attacked Rollins instead. This allowed Kane to regroup and overcome his prey with the chokeslam for the 3 count. Then, as the dust cleared, Rollins hit his former business associate with the second curb stomp of the night. I've got a funny feeling that Mr. Ambrose will be the second opponent, or the second participant in this Money in the Bank contract ladder match. In the SmackDown main event, the combatant in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at Money in the Bank squared off in a 4-on-3 handicap bout. The United States Champion Roman Reigns, the United States Champion Sheamus, Roman Reigns, and John Cena going head-to-head with Alberto Del Rio, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, and Randy Orton. In the height of a fierce encounter, Reigns was finally tagged into the powder keg of the contest. This resulted in the volcanic superstar unleashing absolutely aggression on every one of his opponents, before hitting Del Rio with a spear to give himself the Celtic Warrior and the leader of the C Nation clinching the victory going into Money in the Bank in a couple of weeks. What's going to happen next on Monday Night Raw? We'll tune in this Monday. But things are getting a little interesting going into Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. This is a commercial ad promo time. Play these two ads and I'll be back after it with some thoughts and some opinions and maybe a pipe bomb. So stay tuned. I'll be back after this. Do you want to be an EPW wrestler? Do you want to be a wrestler in general? Are you living in the Middlesbrough area, or can you get to the Middlesbrough area? Then this is for you. EPW Wrestling. You want to be a part of it? Thought so. Go to epwwrestling.co.uk, www.facebook.com/EPW American Wrestling, and hit the like button. For further details though, go to EPW's website and contact. Contact details are on there if you want to be a part of it. EPW, where wrestling matters. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, the host of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and you can now check out the Wrestling Matters podcast on youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You can now go to Podomatic.com, iTunes, and now also you can go to a new one. That's right, a new site, Stitcher Radio. That's right, we're on Stitcher Radio right now. I'm on Stitcher Radio right now, and you could be too. Get yourself on there, download their app, the Stitcher Radio app, or the Stitcher app, whatever it is. Make sure you download their app, and you can listen to it on your phone anywhere you want, at any time you want, at any place you. That's the Wrestling Matters podcast now on YouTube, iTunes, Podomatic, and Stitcher Radio. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
In anybody else's hands, this is a microphone. In my hands, it's a pipe bomb.
Welcome back, fans, to the last remaining parts of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now, before I get into my pipe bomb, which, as you probably have heard, it is time for the pipe bomb, but before I get into that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you some news that I've gathered, as well as my thoughts on a few things. It appears that WWE, from what I've read and from what I've gathered, ain't going to be pushing Dolph Ziggler because he's injury prone. Okay, to quote The Miz, really? 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 Dolph Ziggler is not injury prone, okay? Yes, you get injured, He's not injury prone. I can think of a few other wrestlers that are injury prone, but trust me, we'll be here to the end of the program, to the end of the podcast. For the love of God, WWE, give him the push that he deserves. Get him back in the title picture. You could have, hell, this past week on SmackDown, Seth Rollins, was it SmackDown or Raw? Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler had an epic match in the first of 3 that you guys have put over. Push him and get him, and let him have a feud with Rollins. I guarantee you'll draw pay-per-view buys with that match. The excuse that WWE are not pushing Rollins because Ziggler because he's injury prone. That's the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Okay, trust me, I can think of a few other people that are injury prone. And a lot of wrestlers that have been injury prone. Dolph Ziggler is not injury prone. Yes, he gets injured, so we all do. Okay, they all do. But he's not injury prone. He's just fucking good. Okay, but the problem is, WWE, you're too blind to see it. Too blind to see it. He is so talented in the ring, it should be illegal. Okay, that's how good he is. Same with a few other wrestlers as well. There's a few other wrestlers that are in that league as well. I mean, like I said, please put him against Seth Rollins, and trust me, you'll get a pay-per-view buy out of that feud. Believe me. Or many pay-per-view buys, I don't know. And I've also read as well regarding the Goldust Stardust situation. It appears that Cody Rhodes performing as Stardust, apparently the plan is for the Angle to get over. And if the Angle gets over, they will get a tag team title shot at SummerSlam. If the Angle doesn't get over, WWE are going to change the course, and they're going to book the match that everybody's been wanting to see. A match that probably should have took place at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes versus Goldust. But I don't think we'd be seeing that match, to be honest with you, because I think it's pretty safe to say the Stardust gimmick is getting over, because I don't know about you, that was WWE gold. It looked like one of them mimics you find on the streets of America. Them little mimic things, you know, and then when they do that pull rope thing, you'll see it if you're in America and all that. I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it on TV. It's hilarious. But yeah, I think we won't be seeing any Goldust Cody Rhodes match at SummerSlam. We'll be seeing Goldust and Stardust getting a World Tag Team title shot. I'd be surprised if they go down that route, but if you ask me, that match should have been in WrestleMania. And it also seems that Evan Bourne, Kurt Hawkins, and JTG are getting the most requests for independent bookings as well since their release. Well, it's already been announced, in case you haven't heard. Cram Tam are back together, so that's why probably JTG is getting independent bookings, because Cram Tam are back together on the independent circuit as well. Now JTG has left WWE. Yeah, and also as well, I read on TNAWrestling.com New York booking. New York Impact shows coming up. Apparently Impact's coming to New York. Apparently as well, the Hardy Boys are getting back together. There's going to be a Hardy Boys reunion. I saw it on the website, Matt Hardy picture and everything. My question is, will Jeff Hardy be allowed? You know, will it be the end of the Willow gimmick? And will they bring him back as Jeff Hardy, or will they keep the Willow gimmick and use the original, Jeff Hardy thing? I think they should do that, to be honest. Alright, don't make Willow look like a superhero, because there's one thing he ain't, he's not. Okay. Have Jeff Hardy wrestle as Jeff Hardy, and then if needs, have him wrestle as an alter ego. Kind of thing. Maybe 2 in once. Maybe it's wishful thinking, easier said than done, but I think that should happen. I think that'll be kind of cool to see, in a way. But TNA's booking at the moment, it's going back down this pan, to be honest. So WWE can't fault their booking, because all they got to do is look at TNA's booking ideas and that, because it seems to be going down the pan. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. Apparently, you might want to tune in and listen out for Steve Austin's podcast, the Steve Austin Show, because apparently he will be getting Russo. That's right, Vince Russo, a guy who Mr. President shooted, and quite frankly I agreed with him in a way, and I said my piece as well, that apparently he doesn't matter in the wrestling business anymore, and quite frankly he doesn't. I mean, the guy's only been relative since he was in, the Attitude Era and that, and I would tune into that podcast, because that's going to be interesting. So the Steve Austin Show very, very soon, interviewing Vince Russo, so make sure you look out for that. And also, former WWE superstar and WWE's main player in their Waste of Talent roster, Drew McIntyre, has been announced for October 3rd and October 4th FWE events in Brooklyn, New York. This is his first official booking since his release from WWE, and he's going to be using his real name on the indies as well, Drew Galloway. So that should be interesting to see. Let's hope he gets his due. Let's hope somebody can pick him up and bring him back into the proverbial fold, so to speak. I mean, like I say, he's probably on WWE's list of waste of talents, in my opinion. But, that's just my opinion on that. Apparently, AJ Lee is reportedly pregnant. So, any plans, if there was any plans of her return will have to wait, if that's true. I don't know where the Divas division's going. All I know is it's got a future, but this booking, WWE's booking of Paige, oh my god, it just gets awful and awful and awful week by week. I mean, for Pete's sake, Cameron, you book her in the ring with Cameron, and by the way, it's going to be the end of the Funkadactyls. Yeah, Funk will not be on a roll very, very soon, if you know what I'm saying, from what I've heard. But really, whatever happened to giving, the Divas Champion some competition? You book her in the ring with people like Cameron and Asana, have a job out like that. I mean, it's like with Rusev and, oh God, don't get me started on Bo Dallas. If you want to build them characters up, then do that, okay? It's not a problem. You know, build and build and build and build and build. And if you want to make the most, just, yeah, like I say, build and build and build. Just make sure you make the most out of them. But it seems that Rusev is going to get built like a Tenzai. He's going to get built and built and built. They're going to get jobbers thrown in front of him, and he's going to walk right into John Cena and lose. Because Tenzai got the treatment as well. That's why Tenzai ended up joining Brodus Clay. I mean, that guy could have been... I mean, came in from Japan. We all know him as Albert and A-Train. Came in from Japan. He was a monster. An absolute monster. Probably didn't need his translator, but he was a monster nonetheless. And he came in and he kicked butt. And I was liking him, and then they have him walk into John Cena, and then, you know, went downhill from there. That's what's probably going to happen with Rusev. I mean, I agree with you on his book, but jobbing people out to them, there's got to be some point. At some point, there's going to be a point backstage that somebody's going to step in and say, "Let's test these guys." You know, let's test the Bo Dallas. Let's test the Rusev. Let's test whoever else is getting the pushes. You know, give them some test. Make them prove that they're worthy of being on SmackDown and that they're worthy of being on Raw. You know, or worthy of being on both shows. Whatever, you know, because that's what it's got to come down to, because people are not going to get them. You've got to test them. You've got to have them. I mean, Rusev had a big test with Big E Langston, but that didn't last, unfortunately. Give them something they can be tested with. If you want to make them build a sort of like a monster type with Rusev or anything, you know, have it that way. But test these guys out, because let's face it, Rusev is not getting over, at least from my perspective, at least. The only thing that's getting over as far as Rusev is concerned is his manager. And you know it sucks when that happens, trust me. And as far as Bo Dallas, Mr. NXT, really? I mean, I don't know who's worse, him or Adam Rose. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can't fault Bo Dallas that much. I mean, the guy's a former NXT champion, for Pete's sake, so he has to be good at some point, to a point. But why do they push and push and push and push and push people on NXT, build them up, bring them to Raw, and then just completely kill them? You know, I can't wait till Charlotte gets over here. Ashley, Ric Flair's daughter, the current NXT Women's Champion. I mean, she's amazing. Yes, there's a semblance of a father there, but she's amazing. You know, Sasha Banks, again, amazing. Bring them over. But the problem is, you'd be best off keeping them on NXT, considering the way WWE's booking is going. Because no doubt they'll probably give them bullshit gimmicks. You know, it's just ridiculous. Let them be. There's got to be some point of people on the rosters that you can see, these talented people on the roster, like a Charlotte or a Sasha Banks or, you know, a Paige. Let them be themselves. You know, and quit booking Paige bullshit way. For Pete's sake. You know, it's shit like that makes people think that the freaking Divas division need to kick up the ass. I just wish Paige had dropped the title like Medusa did to the WWF Women's title and bring back the Women's title, to be honest. Because like I said on many podcasts, nobody cares about the Divas title, to be honest with you. And you know no one cares about the Divas title. Well, WrestleMania this year was the first time the Divas title was ever defended at a WrestleMania. If that doesn't tell you no one gives a shit about the Divas title, nothing does. You'd be, like I said on many podcasts, on previous podcasts, you'd be best off using the NXT Women's title on both shows, because that hasn't been around a lot. I mean, Charlotte's the second Divas champion, the second NXT champion. You'd be best off bringing that to both, bringing that up here to Raw as well, because like I said, no one cares about the Divas title. It's that, that's pretty obvious. I mean, it just drives me insane. It just makes me sick. Why do people, why bother? Why bother? And as we expected, ladies and gentlemen, apparently there's word going around as well that apparently John Cena is in line to win the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, I don't have a problem with it personally. I just think they should give it to Roman Reigns. But like I said, obviously, Roman Reigns, that ain't going to happen. Because Roman Reigns and the seeds were planted this week on Raw with that fucking coffee angle that they did, the puke angle. The seeds have been planted in a kind of a bullshit way, but there's a feud building now between Triple H and Roman Reigns for SummerSlam. Yeah, Triple H, Roman Reigns, one-on-one at SummerSlam. God almighty. It was I'll get to Cena in a minute. It was previously reported as well that, according to NoDQ.com, that word within the company that a heel would be leaving Money in the Bank with the title. During Monday night, it appeared they may be grooming Roman Reigns for the title, as they had him work his way into a match, but that may not be the case, as it's likely too soon for Reigns to have a title run, which is complete bullshit, to be honest. Maybe it is too soon to have Reigns for a title, but you don't know that until you gave the guy a chance. Okay, you gave Randy Orton a chance when he won the world title for the very first time, and you realised it was too soon, so granted you took it off him and gave it to Triple H, blah blah blah. But you won't know until you gave him the chance, like I say. I mean, don't get me started with John Cena. I think I've said this many times. I mean, I'm sure you all heard of the Chipmunk thing. The roster's thin at the moment with all these cuts that the WWE are doing, with all these people leaving and that. And it's gotten to a point, as it always is, WWE, John Cena's WWE's go-to guy. It's a simple fact of life. Whether we like it or not, what happens, WWE, if they're in a pickle, where they're going to put the belts? On John Cena. It's as simple as that. I mean, John Cena is the money draw of the WWE. He's the face of the company, despite what Randy Orton and all this bullshit angle. John Cena is the face of the WWE, bar none. Okay? And it's like I've said many times, if I could take a lyric from the Chipmunk song, insert song here, if WWE can't find their way, they look for John Cena. So, if you can't find your way, look for Cena. That's all I'm going to say about that. Listen to Chipmunk's song, look for me, if you want to get that gag. But it's fact. It's not just a gag, it's fact. WWE go to John Cena if they need him. You know. It's like with Styles, with TNA. Who did TNA run to? AJ Styles. But now Styles is in Ring of Honor and IWGP, so obviously that's not the case anymore. But I still think it'll be best for business to give Reigns a title shot. But like I say, it is understandable why they're not doing it, because, you know, the seeds have been planted, it's been groomed that it's going to be Roman Reigns and Triple H at SummerSlam. I almost said WrestleMania. Also, I've learned as well that WWE are planning something very big for Daniel Bryan when he comes back. And there's lots of ideas going around, because there's a planned match for SummerSlam. Obviously, it's going to be a title shot. But WWE are not quite certain whether or not he'll be returning for SummerSlam. But the plan is, one of the plans that's gone around, is putting the belts on Brock Lesnar, having him as champion, going into SummerSlam, and having the planned match Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, because apparently that was the planned match that they were going to have for SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. And you know what? Quite frankly, I wouldn't mind seeing that. So let's hope Daniel Bryan can get back in time for that, to make that happen. Obviously, if he can. If not, don't do. If you can't do it with SummerSlam, do it for WrestleMania. WrestleMania 31, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. I'd like to see it. I'm sure there's other plans as well for Brock Lesnar coming at next year's WrestleMania, but we'll have to see about that. But like I say, let's make that happen. I'd like to see that match myself. Question is, what's going to be, you know, the case now for Randy Orton? I mean, he only got used once on Raw, and that was in a run-in, and he probably was in amongst the lot when Stephanie and Triple H addressed. What's the future now for Orton? What direction is he going? I mean, there's no more Evolution. Blue Batista's gone back to movies for a bit, but he'll be back in town for SummerSlam. You know, I mean, what's next for that, in that respect? Who knows? And also this past weekend as well, I'm sure you've all seen it, go to ringofhonorwrestling.com for any information and Fallout, but Best in the World took place on pay-per-view, which was the return of Christopher Daniels to Ring of Honor. He's made that very, very clear. And also as well, I saw this on YouTube, the winner of the Michael Elgin match and Adam Cole has AJ Styles knocking on their door. Obviously Styles has made it clear he wants Adam Cole, but it'd be interesting to see where that direction goes, because that's the only thing. I mean, at the moment right now, from what I've heard, AJ Styles is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Question is, he's never been Ring of Honor World Champion. So will Ring of Honor go down that direction, put the belt on him? I would like to see it, because let's face it, real Ring of Honor wrestling fans know that AJ Styles was one of the fathers that helped build that company. I mean, I can give you a list of who helped build that company. AJ Styles was on that list. So it'd be interesting to see, what happens. Apparently Ezekiel Jackson's been released as well. I didn't even know that, but I didn't even know you're still in the company, to be fair. I don't think he's been used. Jay Gibson was also released this week, this past couple of weeks as well, from WWE, because he was head writer and he didn't have a clue what the hell they were doing, what he knew about the company. I'll read the article here that I've got here, courtesy of NoDQ.com. Link will be in the description. You've got to check these guys out. Wrestling Source, beautiful. I'm sure there's other websites as well, but I've got this from NoDQ.com. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, Aaron. You get it for free, man. It's okay. I'm begging you should check these guys out. As noted, Vince McMahon recently cut Raw head writer Jay Gibson. This release was not believed to have been budgetly like the other releases, even though WWE cut their head writer. It is not as significant as it sounds, and there likely won't be a major change in TV direction. Gibson has been with WWE for about 5 months and basically organized writers to work on different angles and different superstars, as opposed to actually writing himself. It was said that Gibson had very little knowledge of the WWE product, and that was made apparent when he was asked his opinion on some things. No wonder your booking sucks, WWE. You've hired somebody hasn't got a clue about your company. No wonder your booking's in the toilet. You've got a head writer that's worked for you for about 5 months that hasn't got a clue about your company. He doesn't know anything about the WWE product. Probably doesn't even know anything about WWE or wrestling in general. No wonder your booking sucks, WWE. I think that's pretty obvious right there. I mean, Jiminy Crickets. I mean, I'll shout this out right now. Come on. Really? I mean, like I said, no wonder WWE's booking is, the booking direction, so to speak, is in the toilet. When you've got somebody who's the head writer who hasn't got a clue about your company, it's a fail. I don't care what anyone says, it's a fail. Good grief. I'm just looking to see if there's any more situations. By the way, as well, you might want to check out TNA as well, because I established the main points earlier on, the 3 main points. There was also other things that took place. There was Kurt Angle having something to say with MVP. The Wolves defending probably the best tag team in the wrestling business at this moment in time. Funny how they're in TNA. Good one, Triple H. They defended the tag team belts 3 times in one night. Also, there was the beautiful people. Tyrene Terrell returned as well. It'd be amazing if Drew McIntyre ends up there, if you know what I'm saying. And there was also other things as well. I might have mentioned this, but I just thought I'd mention it again. So if you want any more information, go to ImpactWrestling.com or go to TNA's YouTube page. That'll be down there in the description as well. And also, apparently, Bully Ray got pulled from a show that was organised by Tommy Dreamer. Yeah, and Dixie didn't like it and pulled. That's what led to and pulled him from the show, that Bully Ray from the show, and that's what led to the spat that you will see on TNA's Impact show. If you check in the description and look on TNA's YouTube page, the spat that they had this past week on Impact. Whatever. That's what I think of that. Apparently, also as well, a little major thing. There's been a voting taking place on WWE. Not WWE, on TNA, excuse me. Apparently there's a vote going around of what the future holds for TNA, Impact Wrestling, as far as their ring is concerned. Will it be the 4 sides? Will it be the 6 sides? People have been voting. I know what I've voted for. Whether it's gone through or not, I don't know, but I know what I've voted for. TNA Impact Wrestling will probably have the 4-sided ring or the 6-sided ring. If they bring the 6 sides back, it is what it is. But if they stick with the 4-sided ring, I don't think there's going to be any more 6-side chance in TNA's shows anymore. As well, let me see if there's any more things that I could bring up and things that I can't bring up as well before I move on to the scheduled pipe bomb that I've got. Like I say, just want to give you some knowledge, guys, of certain things, and as well, I think I've mentioned everything else. Make sure you check out EPW Wrestling as well. I'll get to that later on as well. Just give them a quick shout out. I'll get to that, all the information for that in a bit. And I think that's it from what I've got to say, from that part anyway, of what I've got to say. So I'll get on to the scheduled pipe bomb. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I played the intro again, as you could probably have heard there. I thought I'd play it again, because now it's time for the scheduled pipe bomb. And this is regards to what happened this past Sunday. If you listen to the Wrestling Matter, the Sunday Segway podcast, you will know that I lost the Beat the Clock tournament match, unfortunately, which I'm still a little bit pissed off about. Yep, I made one mistake. As you probably have heard, if you go back and watch it. Sunday Segway's links will be in the description. I give the guy a run for his money at it's Mike Rodriguez. You know who you are. Links will be in the description of the guys you should follow, so he's going to be on the list. I give this guy a run for the money, and it takes one mistake by me in the sudden death for him to beat. I don't really think, in my opinion, and like I said, I got nothing but love for Sunday Segway, but there's a part of me, not 100%, I lost. There's a part of me that 100%, in my opinion, not 100%, that felt that I got screwed, that I got shafted a little bit. But let's say it, Roxy's fiance, I was supposed to have this match on June 15th, but Roxy's fiance didn't show up, because apparently he sent a message saying, as a matter of fact, no, it was his fiance that sent the message saying that he forgot it was June 14th. And then he pulls it back to it. We pull it back to a week, June 22nd, which was today, or yesterday in fact, and he says he has to work. To be honest with you, Kenny, if you're listening, brother, which I'm sure you are, by the way, I'll get to an announcement in a minute about Kitty and a guest on the show. I'll get to that later. If this, I couldn't understand. You probably wanted the whole tournament. You wanted people to take part. I couldn't understand that, and I wanted to take part as well. But would I ever took, a forfeit? Yeah, I would have took the forfeit victory, and I probably should have took the forfeit victory. But like I said, I wanted this done. I wanted to take part, and I got my opportunity on it. But I should have took part and faced Steve Dawson, quite frankly. But it seems to me that strings were pulled. But I'm not complaining. Everybody knows it doesn't matter. It was a fluke win. And yeah, you heard me right, Mike Rodriguez. Nothing against you, brother. This is just business. But it was a fluke win. Like I said, you didn't beat me where it counted. It took a sudden death mistake by me for you to get the better of me. And yeah, I made a mistake. But let me just make this clear to each and every one of you guys who are in this tournament right now. This was my idea. Alright, the concept wasn't my idea. Shout out to Kenny on that one. He came up with the tournament concept. But it was me that called each and every one of you guys out. Okay? I called every one of yous out. And Kenny took that and created the tournament out of it. He obviously looked at my tweet that I sent, that I made before. He thought, he's called everybody out. You know what? Let's make a tournament. And it was a good idea to do so. It was the only way he could do it. But let's face it, and this goes to everybody. Yes, it includes you, Kitty. Includes you, Shugs, as well. That's if you're involved, which I'm sure you're not. Hashtag Tech Guy. Yeah, check him out on Twitter as well. I'll put his link in the description. Make this clear to you. Let me make this clear to you. I know probably more about wrestling than each and every one of you. I mean, for example, Mike gets one of the questions, as you probably hear it if you go back on the episode, listen back on the episode. I got all my questions right. Mike passes on one question if you listen to it. I got all my questions right. I didn't even need to pass. and the question that he got wrong, right? The question he got wrong was, who was, like I say, if you go back to the episode and listen to it, you hear for yourself, who aided CM Punk to cash in Money in the Bank on Edge to win the world title? It was Batista. Mike passed on that one, okay? So that's why it was a fluke, man. I got all my questions right, and I still lose. And I lose because I make one mistake in a stupid sudden death question. Yeah, I made a mistake. That's just my opinion on that. And also, as well, let me make something clear to PW Smart Talk, Nick McGee, and I don't know, maybe Mike as well, I don't know. There's this thing going around that these Yanks, Nick McGee, PW Smart Talk on Twitter, and Mike himself, apparently there's this quest to take down the Machine. Dude, you couldn't do it yourself, so you're cheering on Mike. The Machine will always live on. And I know it's probably all banter and all that and all great stuff and everything, but you couldn't take the Machine down yourself. And I don't think you ever will. Sunday Segway will live on. Sunday Segway will live on. And I'm sorry, but if I hear that one more time, I'm seriously going to throw up. I mean, what are you, the NWO? the NWO, the poison that's being injected into Sunday Segway. Let's inject this. I'm going to inject Sunday Segway with a lethal dose of poison. Give me a break. I mean, this is the same PW Smack Talk that got beat. Actually, let me rephrase that. That got whooped by Steve Dawson, Top Rope Elbow on Twitter. 7-1. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, thank God I didn't lose that way. Be that as it may. But anyway, enough of all that. Let me get to what I'm going to say right now. Challenge. And this is not about, it's not about tournament matches anymore. It's not about that. Let's just make this clear. I believe that I'm better than any one of you guys. I've been watching wrestling right now, going back to the old days. Going back to the late 80s, early 90s. My very first pay-per-view was WWF SummerSlam 1991. Same pay-per-view there was headlined by, by a wedding. And the Triangular Terrier, which turned out to be Ultimate Warrior's last night. For a year at least. I believe I know more wrestling about anybody than anybody on this in the Segheads team and everything. I believe that, and I stand by it. Prove me wrong, okay? I challenge anybody. Kenny, James Powers, Shugs himself, Darren Dyer. Hell, I want revenge on Mike. I want my rematch. Vicky Earls. I don't care who it is. Hell, Roxy can get involved. I don't care. Okay? Hell, if you want, bring Tim Vicious into it as well. Okay? Nothing but love for that guy. But if he wants to get involved, more the merrier. I don't care. I felt like I was duly screwed, or royally screwed, out of this tournament. Okay? And I want my redemption. As a matter of fact, I don't want my redemption. I demand it. I demand a second chance just to get even, just to get my redemption, just to help me breathe easy. The fact of the matter is this. I challenge anybody to a beat the clock match on Sunday Segway. I don't care who it is. Hell, it could be Kenny himself. I don't care. Okay? And if you want to make it interesting, so you will allow me, so you guys don't duck, I'm willing to do a forfeit. Let me rephrase that again. So, let me rewind that and say it again so you can hear me. I'm willing to do a forfeit. Any forfeit you guys want. I mean, there's a forfeit. Any forfeit you guys want, hopefully that we can do. There might be a forfeit that you might come up with that I might not be able to do. I don't know. But like I say, any forfeit you want. I mean, Kenny and King Bungus, or Bungus, sorry if I got that wrong. Them two are going to be facing off in the Beat the Clock tournament as well. And Kenny, and they've had a wager that whoever loses has to wear a Hornswoggle t-shirt. Anything like that, I don't care, okay? I don't care. If you want something, I don't care what it is, okay? I will do a forfeit if that means getting my second chance at redemption, because that's what I want. I believe that I was royally screwed out of this tournament, okay? Mike Rodriguez, nothing but love for the guy, but this is he got a fluke win over me, and I'm not happy about it. The only good thing about this is I made him earn the victory, okay? I didn't lose 7-1. I made him earn the victory, okay? But I want a rematch. I want redemption, because I believe I know more wrestling or wrestling knowledge than anybody on the Segheads roster, so to speak. Whether it's Vicky Earls, whether it's Roxy, whether it's Darren Dyer, Tim Vicious, Jim Powers, Kenny, Mike himself, Mike Rodriguez. I mean, the guy couldn't even get out of bed for James's Wrestling Ramble show that we were on together, and eventually it takes 3 alarm clocks for him to get out of this bed. He's probably not going to get out of the bed for these match with Steve Dawson. So Steve Dawson will probably end up having a forfeit victory. I don't know. That'll take place in August, from what I've been told. Apparently the second round takes place in August. But Kenny, I hope you listen to this, bro. And I mean every word I say. I want redemption. I want my rematch. I want to get even. I want to make things right for me, okay? And like I say, to all your guys, I got nothing but love for each and every one of you. But, this is just business. This is a pipe bomb. And that's what I do on this show. Is I don't bullshit. I pipe bomb. Pipe bomb, in case you don't know, means telling it as it is. It's nothing personal, guys. It's business. I want my redemption. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the podcast. I will say this. There's a list of all the guys who I think you should go and follow, but basically as well, in the YouTube description and the description itself on Podomatic. You can find us on Podomatic, Twitter, Stitcher Radio, Did I say Twitter? iTunes, I mean. Go to facebook.com/WM podcast and like the shit out of that page. Please, guys. I know there's a lot of you guys that listen to this podcast. Hell, I'm number 6 of the rankings, for Pete's sake, on Podomatic. So I know there's a lot of you guys that listen to the podcast. So please, links will be in the description. Go to the Facebook page and like it. Go to the Twitter page as well, WM Podcast as well. Follow that page as well. Follow that site as well. Please support and keep supporting this podcast. Check out the EPW podcast as well. I've got another one in the works, but I think there's some problems with it as well, unless the guy's too lazy to upload on YouTube. EPW information will be in the description as well. Please support that, my local hometown promotion, who I might be getting back in the ring with. I don't know. We'll see. And also as well, it's getting recorded on July the 4th, and it'll be aired on July the 7th as well. That would be the show, or that would be the episode of the podcast for that show at least as well. Kenny Killer himself, the leader of the Sunday Segway podcast, along with the Goddamn Sugar Shugs, the hashtag tech guy as well, hopefully. There might be some issues as well, but they are scheduled for July the 7th show. It will be recorded on the 4th of July because they have other issues to do. You know, they have business to take care of themselves, as well as we all do in life. But they will be hopefully on the show July the 7th. So that will be the very first guests. I made a promise to my boys, the guys that paved the way for me and helped me out with this podcast as well, and creating this podcast for you guys. They gave me all the ideas and all the advice, and I got nothing but love for the guys. It's always a pleasure to be on their show. I love them to bits. You know, keep that wrestling love, wrestling fans for life, and all that, and Sedgeheads as well. Hashtag Sedgeheads. Almost got that wrong. But they will be on the show as well, July the 7th, and that should be a dandy. And also as well, that will be recorded, but it won't be. There will be no editing on it. So basically, whatever happens on that show happens on that show. Quite frankly, I don't know. I might need to edit some bits as well. So it's going to be a full show, big things we're gonna talk about, and we're just gonna have some fun with it. You know, I probably won't keep them too long. We'll see how it goes, and you'll get to know the guys if you haven't listened to them and you haven't tuned into the Sunday Segway podcast. And if you haven't tuned into the Sunday Segway Wrestling podcast, or you don't even know these guys, or you don't even know these guys exist, then seriously, you want to get your head sorted out, because these guys are the #1 wrestling podcast on the internet. Hopefully, I'll take over that place as well. But Sunday Segway is where it's at. And hopefully as well, EPW will be coming back to the Colby New and Rainbow Leisure Centre September 20th, 2014. Apparently there's some dates as well set for the previous day as well, September 19th in Sheldon. And also there's a date set for Sunday, September 21st in Redcar. I hope to be at all 3 of them shows, quite frankly, because I have some plans that I would like to do, but like I say, I can't execute them plans. I gotta talk to Chris as well, because Chris wants me to come back. He's dying for me to come back. He may just very well get his wish as well. We don't know. Like I say, it's up to him. I'm in no rush to come back. Excuse me. Because like I say, I'm doing the podcast, but it's like a certain Justin Bieber said, and I can't believe I referred to this. Never say never. Whatever. I don't hate Justin Bieber. I just think at the moment right now he's a punk. But that's a different story for a different day. And if anybody's offended by the fact I've just talked about him on this show, I apologise. It will never be talked again. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anthony Walker. Thank you for checking out episode 12 of the Wrestling Madness podcast. Nothing but love for you guys. Thank you so much. Keep supporting the podcast. Big things are going to happen for the podcast in upcoming shows, and I hope you guys enjoy them. And also, like I say, follow me on Twitter at Tony_Walker. Follow the Twitter site, follow the Facebook page. Give me any ideas what you want to see on the show. If there's any improvements, please let me know as well, because with your help I can make this show as well, even though I am doing it already, but I can make this show even better than what it already is. My name is Anthony Walker. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, oh hell yeah, awe. Good night. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, the host of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and you can now check out the Wrestling Matters podcast on youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You can now go to Podomatic.com, iTunes, and now also you can go to a new one. That's right, a new site, Stitcher Radio. That's right, we're on Stitcher Radio right now. I'm on Stitcher Radio right now, and you could be too. Get yourself on there, download their app, the Stitcher Radio app, or the Stitcher app, whatever it is. Make sure you download their app, and you can listen to it on your phone, anywhere you want, at any time you want, at any place you want. That's the Wrestling Matters podcast now on YouTube, iTunes, Podomatic, and Stitcher Radio. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.